Okay, so thank you everyone for coming to this Language Diversity Hub consulting call. So the whole idea with us organizing these kind of calls is to address common challenges in the movement and post them online so we can share it with others, so both solutions can be shared, but also that the challenges that we have get more visible. So today we have Christopher from the uh, Runyankore-Rukiga community, or yes, and the concept is this discussion is about how to join or merge those two languages. So I think I will just leave the stage to. I don't know who should start. If you want to start describing the challenge, and then we have Sadiq here and we have Amir here to come with a suggestion or to follow up questions to see how this conversation will evolve. So I invite you on the stage, Christopher, to share your the challenge you want to have or the project, please.
Yeah, so Christopher, would you want to share a bit of context? And I just shared a link that I promised to share with you, Mali. This was inspired by, I think, the account Wikipedia, which I think Amir has also published this on his personal website. I don't know if I'm correct.
I published something similar on my website.
Great. Yeah. So just for you to have a reference, Christopher and team. So Christopher, I will allow you to tell us more about why and the need for us to support you in getting this measure. So I'll open it for you before Amir comes. Christopher, we cannot hear you. Are you speaking?
I help him out. Let's see if it prepares.
I can't seem to hear Christopher. I don't know if anyone can hear you.
I cannot hear either, unfortunately. I was working.
Yeah, Christopher, we cannot hear you. Maybe you disconnect and connect back.
Sadiq, can I help him out?
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I don't know what's the time where you are, but in Uganda, it's in the evening. I'm Alvin Atejeka. We come from the same place with Christopher Liberty, which is the western part of Uganda. In Uganda, the biggest, what I say, kingdom is Uganda, but it's a Bantu kingdom. And all these other languages like Runyankore, Rutoro, all of them are Bantu languages linked to Uganda, linked to Lusoga, linked to what. But initially, the real kingdom was Bunyoro Chitara. And it's from Bunyoro Chitara where the Luganda came from. Buganda kingdom got away, started their own language. Ankole kingdom went away. Toro kingdom went away. So it was at first the whole thing. So everyone who went formed their own language, but it has roots in the same language, which is Runyoro. So the language we are talking about here, which is Runyankore-Rukiga that Christopher Liberty had suggested, is a language. These are two languages. One is Runyankore, another one is Rukiga. But these ones are like interlinked, they are like dialects. But the whole language, in how people know this language, it's a combination of four languages clustered in two. One is Runyankore-Rukiga, another one is Runyoro-Rutoro. So that's four languages connect and make what is called Runyachitara. So that's the language that is the collective of the four, but that's how it's subdivided. So I wanted to give some bit of context so that we know where we're going. Maybe Liberty can add on from there. Thank you.
I think I dropped off a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll start by introducing myself. Can you hear me well? All right. So Christopher Liberty, a Wikimedian with the Ugandan user group. And I also currently work with a non-profit organization in Uganda. So straight to what I found Alvin talking about, we have a dilemma where we thought that the language hub could help us to solve. First of all, like he was saying, the languages that we are thinking of combining, Runyankore-Rukiga, are from a group of people called Bantu. It's a Bantu language. And it's usually used by people who are from southwestern Uganda at the border with Rwanda. Overall, they have around a total of 5 million users, give or take, with Runyankore-Rukiga having around having around 3.6 million users, and then Rukiga having around 1.6 million users. So, by orthography, they have a sort of same system, and they have about 94% similarity in terms of lexicon. So even though there could be varieties,
I think we lost you, Christopher. Generally, Jitsi is supposed to be better than Zoom, but not today.
It is
similar
usually isn't.
in
Fortunately.
culture. Of course, there are varieties.
Okay.
So
Now you're back. We lost you for a while, but you're back now.
okay. I was connected on Wi-Fi and it was unstable, so I connected my mobile data, so I would be interrupted by phone calls, unfortunately. Okay, so I was saying the communities are also they share a lot of similar culture, and we thought it would be easier to have Runyankore-Rukiga merged as one. Maybe I will finalize with the ISO. I hope I get the number right. Is it 693 or 639 or none of the above? Yes. Thank God. So the ISO 639 for Runyankore is NYN. Let me confirm that. I had a whole presentation. I don't know, it's hidden somewhere. Yes, but the language codes are different. So I think that is where we would maybe most likely have a dilemma, since they have different language codes. So there is no ISO 639 code for Runyankore-Rukiga combined as one, but each of the languages has their own different codes. With, I think, Rukiga is CGG. Yes, Rukiga is CGG. So that is where we are at. Maybe finally, before I forget, conversations with Geoffrey, I think he also had one with either Amir and Sadiq, or both. We realized that there was already an incubation that had started, I think, a few months or years ago for Runyankore. So the chat. Apart from that, that is, we've thought of having a community of, have them in one group, WhatsApp group. Thanks to Alvin, who has mobilized a set of speakers who are all to start contributions, because there, a number of them are seasoned Wikimedians and editors. So background, but if I've forgotten anything, or if I've, so
Go ahead, Amir.
Okay, hi. Very unfortunately, I'm like incredibly overloaded with meetings these days. I will have to leave very soon. I'll just respond quickly. I more or less know about the situation that you have described, more or less. Um, I know that some people think that these are two separate languages or four separate languages, and some people think that it is one language, or maybe like there are a lot of different opinions. Wikimedia doesn't decide what like doesn't decide about language codes. ISO decide about language codes, and we just use the language codes about which they decide. We cannot do much to influence them. If you want, you can ask the ISO organization to create a new code. There are several ways you can create maybe a macro code, or maybe you can ask them to merge several codes into one and retire the other codes. There are several ways to do this. You can, it's a bureaucratic process. You have to fill some paperwork, and then they work on it for several months or sometimes several years, and eventually they make a decision, and maybe it will be a decision that you like, and maybe it will be a decision that you don't like. It's like, it's not us. We just use what they do. So you can try to change the codes. Maybe it will work, and maybe it will not work. In the meantime, what I recommend for like simply practical purposes is that you just go on with the current NYN language code, unless you have a very strong reason to be opposed to using this code. I recommend that, like, both technically and organizationally, the easiest thing to do now is just to go on with the current NYN language code because it's already configured in our systems. And there is already some content in the incubator, which is probably good. I don't know the language. I know like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of Swahili, and I can see that this looks like a Bantu language. So it's probably not
Yeah, it
horribly
is.
wrong. Okay, good. That's good to hear. And quite importantly, it has some user interface translations on Transit Wiki, which are also probably good. It's like it's very far from complete, but there is a good beginning. So I just recommend that you continue with NYN,
Yeah.
and if you want, you can try send in the forms to ISO to try to change the codes. They have a pretty good website. If you explore the ISO 639 website, they have explanations about how to contact them. I contacted them about some things a couple of times, and they replied very quickly and nicely and professionally. But if you want to change codes, they will reply to you quickly. But the actual work on changing codes will take at least a few months. You will have to fill some forms, and you will have to collect some letters from linguists that explain why do you want to make the change. You will have to prepare very serious paperwork. You can find examples of past processes of people who proposed to change language codes, and some of them failed and some of them succeeded. It's all open. You can find the PDFs there quite easily. If you want to do this, I cannot do almost anything to help you with that. I can only tell you, you can look at the website and the PDFs are there and you can try. Or you can say, whatever, we don't need to change the codes, we will just continue with NYN.
Yeah.
And in any case, right now, I recommend that like the most important thing to do is to write articles. And you write articles in the incubator under NYN, and you continue translating the user interface on the Transit Wiki website under NYN. This is the most practical, immediate solution. And I will have to disconnect very soon. If you have any immediate questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, yeah, I think I have one immediate question. So what content would you concentrate on? What kind of content would you concentrate on for starters, if it were you?
It's a very common question, and I think that Sadiq can give very good recommendations about that. It's up to
I
you.
will prefer to answer this one so that we'll get the ones that Amir can do and leave.
Yeah, I will just very quickly. Well, it's up to you. Like you can decide. You can do something similar to popular articles in the English Wikipedia or in the Luganda Wikipedia or the Swahili Wikipedia. You can translate them, or you can write something from scratch about topics that interest you, like topics that are about your region, your country, your cities, your culture, your writers, whatever. Or maybe you can write about other countries. It's very flexible, and it like these are supposed to be encyclopedic articles. Encyclopedic articles can be about a lot of different things, and every culture, every ethnic group, every language, they need some common things, like are common to everybody, and some things are special. And you're very much flexible to decide. Sadiq has a lot of experience with that, and he can give you a lot of advice. I can also give you a lot of advice. I'm just like very limited in time now, so I have to leave. But
All right.
if you want, you can email me, and I can give you more advice if you want. And you can also ask Sadiq. He's very good at advising that. And that's it. I really need to leave now. Thanks a lot for organizing this. You can contact me
Thank
later,
you so much.
definitely, and I will
All
happy
right.
to help.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Have a nice day.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, great. So thank you for this question. So to answer your question regarding what content you should put on Wikipedia, for most incubator projects, we advise that you focus on topics that are related to your community, sort of like, as you mentioned, like places, people. It doesn't have to be like a one-way direction. There are some incubators that stars, and then they just create like content that are related to politicians alone, it is not really advisable. So you have to diversify your content. There's no like straight answer to what kind of content you can put, but just make sure they are diverse, like different topics. So if, for
Yeah.
example, within a particular period, you are running like a contest in the incubator, you can focus on maybe creating articles for women, and then the next one should be about a different topic, and
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So to answer that, there is no recommendation for what you can put. Just look at what is closer to you, what you can easily translate from existing language. As Amir mentioned, it is strongly advised that you focus on translation. For now, the incubator is very loose in terms of and quite complicated to edit in the incubator is very difficult, and
Yeah.
the rules are very there's no string like attached to the rules, very flexible for whatever you want to do. So use it as a playground to define your own like rules. If possible, create like policies that are specific to your language, not to tie yourself to the English requirement, but translating from English or Swahili, which is much bigger, or another big Wikipedia project in Uganda would help you a lot, because you'll be able to understand, or translators or editors will be able to understand the encyclopedic way of writing content in the incubator. Other than that, people will be writing
Yeah.
like now stories and stuff. So if for now, I would suggest that you focus on, it doesn't have to be like translating all the articles. If you, for example, you are using English Wikipedia and you pick an article about Uganda or Kampala, it's a lot of content. You don't need to translate everything, but just start translating to whatever level you want to, maybe a 2 or 3 paragraph, or 1 paragraph, or even a line or two. But it helps you follow the Wikipedia structure of writing content, like the what we call the Wikipedia voice, and then also the notability criteria. When you are translating, it is very easy to find references for that existing articles. Writing about Uganda on the incubator is much easier, because you can easily like pick references from the English article
Yeah.
than picking an article that does not exist already. The same way, when you are translating, it makes it very easier for you to understand how Wikipedia is written from a neutral point of view, which is more important. And then volunteers will automatically learn. So this way, you don't even have to talk so much about notability criteria or the neutral point of view, because as they continue to read the English, they see, and they automatically learn how to write it in their own language. So translation stage is very important, but don't try to translate everything. Just translate to the best of your knowledge, or to whatever capacity you have. And what else? Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Of
Uh,
course.
so you have two languages that are, you say, like 97% similar. When I was chatting a bit on text with Amir earlier, and he say that in Norwegian we have two different ways. Actually, we have three different ways of writing the same language. So in the Wikimedia style guide, we have described certain rules about how to write. Is that something you would have to need to think of as well, considering there might be differences in the orthography of your languages? Do you need to define it somewhere? Because then that's maybe something to think about.
Yes, and maybe no, for two reasons. First of all, I think although like some of the words may be similar, I think since it's a language that is very close, like a different letter addition of maybe an I, where the other language doesn't add an I, could immediately show that this is a different language. And again, so interestingly, I am a native speaker of Rukiga, and I think Alvin is a native speaker of Runyankore. So we, even though there is a lot of similarities, even when we're speaking the our mother tongue, intonations are different and spellings are somewhat different. So are you suggesting that we would put like a disclaimer somewhere? Is that your question?
Yeah, it's in the English Wikipedia. There is like a huge style manual thing. I guess I assume that in you would make like a
Mm,
decision here, like how do you accommodate for the two languages on the same platform? For example, if one article
mhm,
is written in one style and one kind of version,
mhm,
should then other
mhm.
edits to that follow the same version, or can you mix the two ways of writing in the same article? That sort of
Oh,
discussions, I guess, should be taken.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So if it were you, would you leave it a bit open, or you would be tough on like this is the style we're going to follow? So what would you do?
I would leave it open. I think this is up to your community to decide. I just think that you should be thinking about those things. So then, when you're building a
Yeah,
community of contributors, you have to find out what works, and then it can change in the future.
yeah.
But like
Mm-hmm.
when something happens, when you have one article written and then
Mm-hmm.
people start correcting each other, it's a conversation
Mm-hmm.
to have, I guess.
Okay, that's a good point.
And I think leaving that in the like a disclaimer like that would help you because as she's saying, somebody will come and edit in this language, another person comes in, and then it becomes like a back and forth kind of thing. But when
Mm-hmm.
you clearly specify that at this stage, this is how we are,
Mm,
you can edit in any of the language and you can read it in any of the language as long as you can understand both. It's I think leaving a disclaimer at this point would be very useful for the community. And I would
yeah.
also ask Mitch, sir, because of the complications of requesting the
Mm-hmm.
ISO code, I would strongly recommend that you make it more open for people
Open. Mm.
to edit and also to understand why it is like this. We have the
Mm-hmm.
same issue in Ghana. We have
Mm-hmm.
Dagbani. So they are more like dialects. Like it's just the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nanumba, Dagomba, and Mampusi. It's the same thing when we speak.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing we
Mm-hmm.
understand each other, but sometimes they just
Mm-hmm.
add one or two, and even the tone is the
Mm.
only thing that changed, like Dagbani and Nanunli. So at
Mm-hmm.
some point, we don't even consider Nanunli as a language, like even though it's a language spoken in different location or community, but everything they say is basically understood by any Dagbani speaker. The same for
Mm-hmm.
Mamprisi,
Mm-hmm.
So people have
Mm-hmm.
seen Mamprisi is a little bit even out of that than Nanunli. I would just say it's just the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
Mampus says now at this point they are saying that they also want to have an incubator. So they want to have their own project. So such problems I think exist in most of the African languages because of
Mm-hmm.
history that we have between these languages, and some of them because they are mutually intelligible and stuff. So
Yeah.
this would be the best way or like the best approach to dealing with community in terms of
Mm-hmm.
this. Also making sure that you are not losing so many editors. It can
So
also,
many.
if you are not technical about this or tactical, it may also create a lot of problem because other people will feel like, okay, this is not our language because it's using this.
Mm.
I am not bothered, even though I can edit and just find a way to inspire the community and leave a disclaimer that will
Yeah.
make people know the reason why this is so. And hopefully in future we can have all of them. The goal is to have every language represented. It doesn't matter how many speakers they are, it doesn't matter how
Mm-hmm.
connected they are. Every language
Mm-hmm.
should exist on its own. We are already losing so many languages. So we want
True.
to have more languages coming up on the digital space. And Amir also mentioned, he made a suggestion regarding the incubator. As
Mm-hmm.
you can see, if you look at the articles, the interface right now on your language Wikipedia, all
Mm-hmm.
the instructions, like the tabs are in English, which is not
Mm.
ideal at this stage. So I don't know how many of you have account on Translate Wiki. So you would you can have like an editor since you are supported by the Wikimedia UK, Wikimedia Uganda. You can create a separate project for Translate Wiki. Because when we are talking about having separate language projects, it should be more inclusive. So to translate these things like main page, list of articles, community portal, help, manual, donate, login, edit source, view history. All of these cannot be translated on this page. You go to the translateWiki.net and do the translations there, and then all of them will automatically reflect. So anytime you do the translation, the next moment you come back, you see that the tab will change on the homepage until you have everything completely translated. This is one of the strongest requirement that I would suggest for you, because you cannot say you are editing in your language and all the tabs are still showing in English. Yeah. So if you need help with a separate call for Translate Wiki, I can find an expert and then we can walk you through how you can properly translate and the best things to translate. We have like the most used messages, which is the basic requirement to have your language approved. So it's actually one of the requirements. If you don't have most of the messages translated in your language, they will still not approve this project. It doesn't matter how many articles you have. It is one of the requirements to have them translated, the homepage translated in your own language. So we can have like a dedicated session for that, where we will walk you through the most important things. So you don't have to be translating those that are not relevant. So the most important messages are just the ones that you see on the homepage like this. And then when you are performing like task like that, sandbox and stuff like that, those are, I think they are around like 300 or so messages. You can do as much as possible. You cannot translate everything on Translate Wiki, to be honest, but doing the most important ones would go a long way to help you facilitate in the process of approval for your language. So
Okay, that's super helpful.
yeah, Mali wants to talk.
I have only questions, even though this is for you to ask questions. That's
No problem.
so. So I understand that you are quite new to this. That means that someone has started this incubator before. Someone has done some translations. Do you know who that
Yeah.
was? Do you have contacts there?
Yes, we were able to find them. I think it was yesterday, but we have not yet reached out. But we found their user page. We found they are active on other social media, so we at least now know their name and where they come from. The plan was to reach out to them after this call, because I think, of course, we acknowledge their work and we think since they already had that motivation to start that, then they would be an amazing asset to bring on board.
I'm sure they would be happy as well, because there is a reason why they started. So maybe this can give them motivation to come back. So that's good. Well
Yeah, true.
done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no worries. So sorry. So sorry. Okay. So, one more thing. I know we've made some basic research and they didn't necessarily say there was a target number of articles or like a measure of content you must have for you to finish all this incubation process. But do you have an idea?
Yeah, sure. So that's a very good question. Most people will ask. There is no specific number of articles required to be approved. There's no threshold for that. Also, so yeah, in terms of that, there's no number of articles that you can create to be able to get approved. But the requirements, the basic requirements for every incubator project is one, the translation that I mentioned, translating 100% of the most commonly used messages on MediaWiki. It should be 100%. Two, active community. So having like edits like on weekly basis, regular people editing on weekly basis, like active community, because they don't want to approve projects that would not be sustainable. So just make sure, whilst you continue to work on the other requirements, make sure you are building a community for sustainability, so that even if the initial people are not there, people could continue to edit it, and you can translate the knowledge to so many people.
Yeah.
So having a larger volunteer base is very important, and it's one of the requirements. So that's two. The third one is writing articles with different topics. As mentioned, it doesn't have to be one direction, like all political articles, all women biographies, and it should be diverse topics. Then that's the third one. The fourth one would be the Wikipedia article structure. So for every Wikipedia, there should be at least one reference, interlink, the even the structure of the article should have like the titles, subheadings, and stuff. You know, info box is not really a requirement, but it should have like interlinks. You know, and then one important thing: you should not start articles with all caps. So if all articles are in caps, the title of the articles are in caps, they will all not, when they are moving them, no matter how well structured they are, it won't follow the importation process. It doesn't meet the requirement. So the requirement is that it should be like the normal standard of like articles titles, not all caps, not all small letters. Then that's the fourth one. The fifth one would just be what else? The fifth one would be, I think, if I remember the last one, but that's all for now.
Yeah.
These are the most important. Translate
Yeah.
wiki, you know, article structure, having like interlinks,
Yeah.
articles, right? Articles. Yeah. So
There is
basically,
one requirement, isn't it, about the language? Like the language has to be confirmed by some independent
yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
linguist.
yes. I almost forgot that.
Yeah,
Very good.
Oh.
that's
So
it. Yeah,
you should,
because I wonder if that will be a challenge in this case or not. But
yes, we need to know.
yeah,
Yeah, you should
The
have.
language has to be what?
So there should be an expert, like someone who can verify the language. So the language committee would contact an independent person. The person doesn't have to be like an editor. Language, like having a PhD in linguistics or have like an in-depth knowledge of this language, either a translator or a researcher or, you know, lecturer of this language.
Yeah, we have them, and we were planning to actually, our first initial thoughts were to partner with like major universities, including Makerere University, and like language centers that are already doing a lot of work with this language. We have a few renowned authors who also publish in this language. So we're aiming to actually work with them directly. We didn't know that this was a requirement, so that that shouldn't be a very huge hurdle for us.
Also, and just another follow-up question: is the language taught in schools like primary, basic, and high school?
Now that's where the interesting bit is. So in the national curriculum, it is taught from prime class 1 to class 3, yeah, and then also taught in secondary school.
As an elective subject?
Yes, 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 yes. However, it is Runyankore-Rukiga, so it's combined once in the national syllabus, in the national, even the name is combined as one. We actually thought that would be a strong point for combination, but Amir, we think we'll follow Amir's guideline on this one. But yes, it is taught both at primary and secondary level. Even some universities like Makerere, Kabale, and I think a few others, renowned universities, teach the language at undergraduate, even postgraduate level.
Wow, that's really good. because there are some languages in Africa that don't even have this requirement, but they are able to go through the incubation process. So you have like you stand a better chance of getting like, for example, community. You can rely on the students and also teachers or researchers and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah. And you can actually do this in 1 year if you want. That I can tell you. There are some projects that are in the incubator for like years, 5, 6, even 12 years. It just depends on your community's approach, like the capacity you have, the community, how effective you are. You should be able to, if you have already like this kind of requirement, you should be able to come out of the incubator in like a year or so.
Hopefully. Thank you. Maybe Alvin, do you want to like say something or like put something across?
Nothing big. Maybe just to say thanks to the people for facilitating this session. We've learned a lot. We'll see how to implement that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alvin. More I will still ask. Okay. So if if you were to do this project, I think you've given us like the criteria to follow and some of the 5 things that they must reach, that they look out for us to progress from this stage. What the main things that you will look out in terms of strategy to ensure that there's effectiveness?
For me, I would say community. Define a very clear path, like strategy for your community's growth. Most of these projects are powered by communities, like volunteers. So if you have like a very dedicated community base, that would help you a lot. I think that's just one recommendation I would make. So if you have to focus more on like building the capacities of your community leaders to be able to translate knowledge to other volunteers or find different ways. There's already like an existing challenge in terms of volunteer retention. We all know all the communities, even beyond Africa. But projects that stands out are projects that are powered by a dedicated community. So if you have community that is dedicated to this cause, maybe when I started, I used to tell them that this project is not like, we are not editing for Wikipedia or Wikimedia Foundation. It is for us. So if you come in and your major reason is to help your language grow, then you are at a good place. But if you are coming in because you want to be getting all the small data allowance, that is not a good place for you. So the first thing they should know is they are competing with so many other languages online. They should fight. We used to have this, even in Africa, those battles among like different communities and tribes. Now we don't do that. No country will go and fight for another country just like that. But we use the presence in digital space to fight. Like I can boast of me being on this platform in Google and blah blah, that you don't have, and you cannot do anything about that. It's no longer about sword and knife, it's about your language, how effective it is, how powerful it is on the digital space. So if you continue to encourage them like this, I think that will help the community to grow. Just focus on the community building. That will be the best way.
Yeah. Thank you. I think Alvin has already like done something very nice on that. We just need maybe to re-strategize and be more effective. I think what we needed was maybe more succinct information that you've given us well and clearly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you want, it's a few weeks ago we had like a little of these sessions, but that was essentially just showing how to edit. So we could do that if you have a little community of people. We could have like a session for editing, just practical
Yeah,
using the incubator.
yeah,
Yeah. And then I think, like Sadiq is saying, this motivation, like everyone understands that this is something you do for your community, for your language. The more you can digitalize your language, your words, the more it can be used by AI and things like that. So
yeah, yeah.
it is really finding that power.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be lovely. So you're saying if we mobilized a set of Runyankore-Rukiga editors, you would have time to take us through editing for incubators.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Do you have a timeline in mind?
No, we can see who we use. We have several people, but normally I use Jon Harald, a colleague here in Norway, because he likes it a lot to do those things.
Mhm.
We just send a link and you can book dates, and we see if we find a date that suits both of you. Or, yeah. So
Yeah,
just come
yeah.
with suggestions, and
Thank you, thank you.
he has also sent a proposal for Wikimania actually for
Mhm.
teaching or a course of incubator editing. So
Ooh,
um,
amazing.
yes, I hope
That's
you will
great.
get it. Yes,
Yeah, fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And then one of the major things we want to do in the next step from the language diversity is to actually
Mhm.
pick, like select a community in the incubator, help them
Mhm.
go through all the stages
Yeah.
until they are published. So we are looking at one community that we can work with. It could be your language,
Mhm.
depending on how dedicated we are. We are looking at
I like this approach, Sadiq.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it could be your community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we look dedicated, no?
Very good.
You see.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. I look forward to
Yeah.
follow you. And I will publish
Yes.
this call immediately on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and I will send you the link. So if ever you want to go back and there's something you forgot, it will be there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day and
Yeah.
enjoy
Bye.
Switzerland.
You did too.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.